over some geometry basics. Hopefully this is review for you, but if it's not, this is a great opportunity to review some really important vocabulary. So the first thing I want to go over is what is a point. A point is just something like one-dimensional. Like for example, here we have point A, here we have point B. They're not necessarily connected in any way. They're not necessarily part of any other figure, but they can be. So for example, in this case, point C and point D, these points are on what's called a line. So in this case, a line goes through any 2 points and continues forever in both directions. So a line goes through any 2 points and it continues forever in both directions. And that's why we use these arrows indicating that the line actually goes forever, even though we're only showing you this little piece of it. To name this line, I would name the 2 points on the line and I would put a mini line above it. That is the name line CD. If I were just looking at 2 endpoints with a segment between them, this is a line segment. It's basically part of a line. It has 2 endpoints. So in this case, it starts at G and ends at H, and it does not continue. If I were naming this line or the segment, I would give the 2 endpoints and put a segment above it. Our next figure is called a ray. It has 1 endpoint, and then it continues forever in the other direction. If I were going to name this, I would start with my endpoint E, and then I would draw an arrow above it indicating that it's a ray. And then our last and most important figure that we need to go over is that this angle here has at least 3 points on it. An angle is going to have a vertex, and the vertex is going to be this point that you see where the angle basically is 2 rays that are put together. So this vertex Y, if you look, you have a ray YX and you have a ray YZ. So if I were naming this angle, I could name it a couple different ways. I could name it by its vertex and just say angle Y. I could also name it using all of its points. So I could say X, Y, Z. And I could also call it angle Z, Y, X. Make sure that your vertex is the middle letter in the name. So those are all some basics that hopefully you learned a little bit about in middle school, and we're going to review some more in this class. Another idea that I hope that you are familiar with is what is a right angle. A right angle is just an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees, and this little symbol here tells you that this angle measures 90 degrees. It's like a perfectly square angle. And two angles that add up to 90 degrees are called complementary angles. And in this case, I can see I have angle ABC right here. And then I have angle CBD. And they are complementary because they add up together, they form angle ABD. So I could say that angle ABC plus angle CBD equals 90 degrees, and they are complementary. I could also say that angle ABD is a right angle. And in this next example, I can see that angle EFH is a right angle. And I know that because it gives me this symbol here, which is the symbol for the right angle. And then I also know that angle EFG and angle GFH, whoops, are complementary. And I know that because I know that together they form this one angle EFH, which is 90 degrees. A similar idea, which hopefully you've heard of before, is the idea of a straight angle. A straight angle is a straight line. It's 180 degrees. So this straight line right here, AB, is 180 degrees. And two angles that add up to 180 degrees are considered supplementary. So in this case, I could see that ABD is a right angle. Or sorry, it's a straight angle. And because it's a straight angle, I know that angle ABC and angle CBD are supplementary. And then this last example, we have this angle EFH right here is a straight line. So it's a straight angle. It's 180 degrees. And I can see that these two smaller angles, EFG and GFH, they add up to 180. So they are supplementary. So what I want to do next is just show you some practice problems that you'll see on Khan Academy, utilizing these concepts that we just went over for some extra practice. So first we'll go over identifying raised lines and segments. So this is just a couple examples of what you might see on Khan Academy. In this case, it says, what is the dashed green part of the figure? And we see that it has 2 points, and we see it's got 2 arrows at the end of those points. So that would be an example of a line. And then in this case, it says, which of the following show a dashed green line? Not a ray, not a segment, but a green line. So we have 2 points and we have arrows at both ends. So that is a line. This one has 2 points, but it ends at each point. So this is actually a segment. So it's not B. And then, so it's definitely not this one. That one's a segment. Oops. And then for C, we have an endpoint, and then it goes in one direction. So this is a ray. So in this case, figure A is the only line. And then here we're looking for the green part of the figure below. Right here, is that a segment, array, or a line? We have 2 endpoints. It doesn't continue in either direction. So this is an example of a segment. So that's just an example of the lines and segments. And then another thing you'll end up having to do is identify complementary and supplementary angles. So you know here that AC is a straight angle. Right here is a straight angle. So that means that these two add up to 180 degrees. So what that would tell me is that I could subtract 156 from 180, and I'll end up with what's left over, which would be this little segment right here. So if I subtracted, I'll get that this little angle here is 24 degrees. And the reason I knew that is because I know supplementary angles. And then in this example, I can see this little symbol that they gave me right here is telling me that angle PQS is 90 degrees. And I know that because that's what that little symbol means, that they're telling me it's 90 degrees. So that means that this angle plus this angle is 90 degrees. So I know that my PQR, my 48 degrees, plus my X value, we don't know what X is, but we do know that together they're 90 degrees. So I could just subtract the 48 and I'll end up getting 42 degrees right here. This one's 42. Together they add up to 90. And then another type of problem that you'll end up having to do is measure an angle. It assumes that you know how to use a protractor. So just so you know, when you use a protractor, you're going to place the middle of the protractor on the vertex of the angle. And then you want to move the protractor so that it lines up perfectly with one side. And then you're going to look at the degrees, that it matches up with on the other side. I need to readjust my protractor real quick. There. So this looks like it is 50, 55, 60. So this is a 55-degree angle. And then I'll just do another one with you. So we're going to place this part of our protractor on the vertex, right on the vertex. And then you need to line up one side of your protractor, the side that has the 0, and we'll look at the other, and it looks like this is a 100-degree angle. And we'll do one more example. So let's place this protractor on the vertex of the angle, and then we're going to line up the side that has the 0 with one side of the angle. The other one, we can see it goes through 35. So this angle is 35 degrees. Another thing you'll have to do would be drawing angles. So if you were asked to construct a 65-degree angle, you're going to place the vertex on the protractor, and then go ahead and place one side at 0 and then the other side at the degree that you're looking for. So this would be an example of a 65-degree angle. Looks like I got it not quite lined up, so hang on a second. Oh, it wants me to put that side there. Okay, so this is just a little touchy. That's okay. You just kind of got to get the hang of it. So 65 degrees. There. An 80-degree angle. We'll move this one over to the 0. So that's a straight angle. And I'm going to go to 80. And then another thing you're going to have to do is name the angles. So it says, oops. Let me find it again. I'm sorry. I lost it. There we go. So then if we're going to name angles, we're going to be looking at the letters of the points that are on the angle, making sure that the vertex is the one in the middle. So it says which angle refers to the same angle as angle DAC. So DAC is right here, DAC. And which angle refers to the same angle as angle DAC. And we'll pick A. It's showing you, it's using colors to show you the measures of the angles and that they are congruent to each other.